right, this video is going to help you review your vocabulary for your quiz that is coming up. And it's really going to be helpful for you throughout this entire unit. So, to begin, we have collinear, and that means that points are on the same line. So we'd have like points A, B, and C, as you see here, all on the same line. We also have, you really need to know the difference between a segment, a ray, and a line. So a segment would be this blue line right here, or blue line segment here. And notice it just has two endpoints. Then we have a ray, which has an endpoint on one side, but it ends with a line on the other side. And then a line just keeps going forever on both sides, and that's shown with the little arrows on both sides. So then with congruent, we have that segments really have the same length. So if we looked at the picture with these little tick marks that you see on the segments, you would just write as HP is congruent to AP. For midpoint, it just tells you that it is in the middle of 2 points on a line, and it makes 2 congruent segments. So if we had APE, it would split AP so that it was congruent to PE. And again, we show that with that congruent symbol. For parallel, that is going to be lines that never ever touch. So you notice that they would just be never touching each other at all. So then perpendicular, remember, meets at a 90-degree angle. So just make sure that they have that little right angle symbol in there. Skew lines is probably the one that people mess up the most, simply because it means that the lines are not coplanar or parallel and they will never touch. And really that parallel just means that they're not on the same plane. So right here would not be coplanar to this one, simply because they both lie on this front face of the shape. Because remember, planes are like the flat two-dimensional shapes thought of in a three-dimensional way. So since that wouldn't work, a skew line for that side could be this corner over here, because they would never touch each other because one is in front of the other. And then your segment addition postulate, remember, is just your little segment plus your little segment equaling your big segment. So like AB plus BC equals AC, not CD. See, this is why I'm a visual person. So we have A, B, C. Okay, so you're just taking those lengths and adding them together. So then with your angles, remember their fancy term is that it is formed by two rays with a common endpoint called the vertex. So if you just think about it as a picture, you have a ray, you have another ray, and it makes a little angle right in there. So then remember your types. You've known these for a while now. An acute angle is less than 90. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is more than 90 degrees. And a straight angle is just exactly 180 degrees, and it goes around. So then, if any of these angles have a bisector, that means that the angle is cut in half exactly. So with angles, remember our symbol to show that they're congruent are little arc marks like this. So then our angle addition postulate is just if we have two little angles, they would add up to make the big angle. So for example, we would have angle 1 plus angle 2 equals angle 3. And angle 3 would be this entire angle right there. Okay. Adjacent angles would be like angle 1 and angle 2 because they share this common side right there. Because they're right next to each other. And remember, if I did have another angle over here, let's say angle 4 would not be adjacent to angle 1 because it does not have a common side with angle 1. Remember, complementary angles add up to exactly 90 degrees, so you'd have your 90-degree angle, but then it'd be cut in some way, shape, or form. So then you would have angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90 degrees. Oops. That was sloppy handwriting. Okay, supplementary angles, almost exactly the same, except you would have one big straight angle that adds up to make two other angles. So if we had angle 3 and angle 4, we could say that angle 3 plus angle 4 equals 180 degrees. With vertical angles, that's going to be two non-adjacent opposite angles formed by two intersecting lines. So if you just draw two intersecting lines, you realize that you have an X-looking thing, and your vertical angles are going to be opposite of each other. So angle 1 would be congruent to angle 2, and angle 3 would be congruent to angle 4. Okay? Now, our last bit is the transversal and all of our parallel and corresponding stuff. So remember, with a transversal with parallel lines, that's the big piece. So these lines have to be parallel to each other. My transversal would be the line that hits both of the vertices of the angles we are talking about. So with corresponding angles, we're going to use pink for these ones. Whoop. Corresponding angles would be like this angle right here and this angle right here, because if you notice, it is above the line in both instances and is to the left of the transversal. So they're in the same spot, just different places. So then if I have alternate interior angles, we're going to do that with the blue. Alternate interior angles have to be on opposite sides because it's alternate. So if I were to just come over here, if it's interior, it has to be somewhere between these lines. So make sure you can recognize when you're in the interior or the exterior of your transversal with parallel lines, because it makes it much easier to name the angles afterwards. So with alternate interior angles, if I have this angle up here, my alternate interior angle is going to be on the other side and in line or inside with it. So then alternate exterior angles we will do with green. And as you expect, they are on the outside but on opposite sides. So if I was over here, my alternate exterior angle would be on the other side of the transversal, but also on the opposite end. So alternate exterior angles. And then, last but not least, we would have same side interior angles. And because this is the end, we're going to go ahead and just use the Galaxy pen for fun. So if I had same side interior angles, ooh, my Galaxy pen is really thick. Oopsie. There we go. If I have my same side interior angles, then that means they are on the same side of the transversal and inside. So that means I would use, let's say, this angle, and this angle would be congruent to each other, and those would be your same side interior angles. So hopefully this video helped you review your vocabulary. Let me know if I need to clear anything up or if anything's confusing, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can keep getting updates of when new videos are posted and stay up to date on all of the new stuff that's made.